Good morning, guys, and welcome to our second math lesson for the week. So the date today is obviously the 9th of February, and today we are learning to solve problems. So we're going to be going back to what we recapped on yesterday, and we're going to be using it and applying that with solving word problems. Okay. So what you need in this lesson, much like yesterday, you need a pencil or something to write with. You need an exercise book or something to write on. And a rubber or ruler if you have one of those handy. If you don't, then don't worry yourself too much. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to have a go at a starter. We've got a quick starter together, which is a recap of yesterday's work. I've got one year 4 recap and one year 5 recap. Year 5s, you can have a go at both, so you can pause me here and have a go at both if you want to. Year 4s, however, I understand if you just want to have a go at question number 1. You have no requirement to do question number 2, but what you can do is watch as I go through it, so maybe that can give you some tips for when you have to go through this next year. So pause me here if you want to. If not, just make sure you draw out your thousands, hundreds, tens, and ones. I'm going to put in my thousands right now on my column because not like that. Done a J instead. I'm looking at our first question and I'm estimating that it's probably going to go into our thousands column. So I'm going to draw my thousands column in. There we are. I'm going to put my operation in over here because we are multiplying and we're using the column method, and I don't want us to get confused by which column method we are using. So if you are drawing this in your book and you're doing it alongside me, make sure you do it with me because it's really, really helpful. If you do just want to watch, that's absolutely fine, but it does sometimes help when you do it alongside your teacher, okay? Now let's put our numbers into our column, 371, and we're multiplying that number by 6. Now, like always, and like you did yesterday, we know that we start with the ones. So we do 6 times 1, which is 6. And then we move on to our tens, and we need to multiply 6 by 70. Now, it's obviously a bit easier if we did 6 times 7, which is 42. However, now we know that 6 times 7 is 42. We know that 6 times 70 will be 420. So I could put my 20 in here, 2 tens, and then I'm going to carry my 400 over here. Then finally I need to do 6 times 300. So 6 times 3 is 18. So 6 times 300 will be 1,800. Now, if I do 6 times 3 is 18, I add the 4 is 22. So 6 times 300 will be 1,800. Add the 4 will be 2,200. So if I put my 200 there, and look, I've got nothing in my thousands column, so I can put it straight. I don't need to carry it. I can put it straight into my thousands column, so I can put my 2,000 here. So there we are. We've got 371 times by 6 is 2,226. Awesome. Now, question number 2. And by the way, guys, if you got that right, fantastic. If you didn't get that right, just pause me here and just have a look at where you went wrong. Maybe you got a times table wrong or something, or you got your lining up wrong. Remember, it's really important, I keep saying this, to draw out your thousands, your hundreds, your tens, and your ones, okay? Right, so I'm going to rub this one out. And let's have a go at question number 2. So we're doing 45 times by 24. Amazing. Now we always start with our ones as always. I'm going to keep repeating myself, and I know that you know that, but I just want to make it really, really clear. We start with 4 times 5, which is obviously 20. So we could put our 0 in here. We can't have 20 ones, can we? We know that we can only have up to 9 ones really, because 10 ones is equivalent to 110. So we're going to carry over our 2 tens here from 20, and remember we're doing it small because we still need to do 4 times 40 and fit that into this box. So now we do 4 times 40. Obviously it's easier to do 4 times 4, which is 16, so 4 times 40 would be 160. Then we can add on our 2 tens, so that would be 100, and I'm going to cross that out so I know I've used that. That would be 180. Now I don't need to carry over my 100 because I've got nothing in the column, so I can put that straight into there. Now I'm going to cross through my 4 because I've used him now. I've done 45 times 4. Now I need to do 45 times a 20. So I'm going to start with here. I'm going to start with 20 times by 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So 20 times 5 will be 100. Now I'm going to put my 2 zeros here for 100. Now, like yesterday, it's entirely up to you. You can put 100 straight into here if you want to, but because I have still got to multiply 20 times 40, I'm going to carry my 100 here, just smaller like I did with my 20 there, just so I've got space for when I do my 20 times 40, because I know that's going to go into the hundreds column. Okay, so let's now do 20 times 40. So 2 times 4 is obviously 8. So 20 times 40 will be 800. And then we add our 100 here, which will be 900. We put that straight into our column. Now, we're going to add these two answers up. So we've got 180 add 900. So we've got 0 add 0, which is obviously 0. 8 add 0, which is obviously 8. Now, this is really important that we cross out the whatever we carry, because you don't want to get confused and think, oh, I need to do 8 add 2. No, we don't, because that was from our multiplying, okay? So we don't need to worry about that now. So make sure you do cross it out. And then we need to do 1 add 9, or really it's 100 add 9. 1 add 9 is 10, so 100 add 9, sorry, not 100 add 9, 100 add 900. So 1 add 9 is 10, so 100 add 900 will be 1000. So I'm going to put my 0 there, and now I've got nothing in my thousands column, so I don't need to carry that, so I can put it straight into that column. So 45 times 24 is 180. So hopefully, if you paused me and had a go at that independently, you got those right. And like I said, if you didn't get those right, just pause me here and just have a look to see where maybe you've gone wrong and what misconception you've got. Quite often, it's just the times tables that we tend to get wrong. Now, like I said, our WALT today is to solve problems. We're going to be using our multiplying skills. That's why we've done that as a recap. But we're going to be using those multiplication skills to help us solve word problems. Now, I've got in the middle of the PowerPoint here, what skills do we use when we problem solve? We quite often discuss this when we're in school, and I'm just going to go through a few of the skills that we use with you now. So, one key thing is to circle and underline the key information. We went through that quite briefly yesterday, and that's really, really important. So, usually the number, if there's numbers and things and looking at the language, and that's really, really important that you circle that, underline that, so you know exactly you're trying to pick apart the problem. Now, break the question down. That's kind of what you can do with circling and underlining the word problem again, by just breaking it down into parts. Don't read the whole thing really quickly. I always like to read word problems nice and slowly, so I can really start to kind of break down what it is that question's asking me to do. Now, I always say this, look at the language. If it says how much altogether, that usually links to multiplying and to adding. However, if it says things like how much more or how much less, that usually links to subtracting or dividing or things like that. Okay, so just look at the language. And I've put here, try and picture the problem in your head. So I like to try and do that, or you can draw it out if you want to. Now, that's quite a tricky skill, but hopefully as we go through the PowerPoint, that makes a little bit more sense to you, and I'm going to show you how I break the questions down. How you do it might be slightly different. I think everyone approaches word problems differently, but it's just about making sure that as soon as we read words, we're not just scared and think, oh, I can't do it, there's words. Just try and really, really break that question down and read it nice and slowly, okay? Now, I've got a question here. It says, Mr. Saunders saves £88 a week. Lucky Mr. Saunders. How much money would he save over 6 weeks? Okay, now I think we had another question on Mr. Saunders saving money. So I'm going to break the question down. I'm going to circle the key information. Now I'm thinking automatically that this here is important. So he saves £88, and I think the per week is important too. So in 1 week, every week, he saves £88. Now we want to know how much money he saves over 6 weeks. So I'm going to circle this number here. Okay, so now as I'm breaking that question down, I want to see what that looks like. So that's why I've made this here. So we've got £88 in 1 week. Now we want to know how much he saves it altogether in 6 weeks. So we need to work out £88 6 times. So basically we need to multiply 88 by 6. Okay, so I've got my hundreds, tens and ones here. I should do my thou. Sorry, the thousands aren't coming up in this. I always keep having to draw them in. In case we need them, let's draw it in. We don't always need the thousands column, but it's great to have them in anyway. So I'm going to put this into my column addition chart. So I've got 88, okay, and I'm multiplying that by 6. I'm going to put my operation here so I know that I'm not adding or subtracting, I'm multiplying. We want to know what 6 lots of 88 is or are. So we're going to start with the ones like always. we need to do 6 times 8. Okay, so now in our heads, now this is tricky multiplication, we need to work out what 6 lots of 8 are. Now you should be, hopefully you've been practicing your times tables. Now 6 8s are 48. Obviously we can't have 48 ones, so we put our 8 here and we carry over our 4 10s into the tens column. Now we need to do 6 times 80. Let's go back and do 6 times 8 again. So 6 times 8 is obviously 48. So 6 times 80 will be 480. Now we need to add our 4 10s, but it's easier if we just did 6 times 8, which is 48, and then we add our 4. So 48 add 4 is 52. So then 480 add 40 will be 520. So we could put that over here. Oh, blimey, sorry. And then we've got our 5 or our 500. We don't need to carry it though because we've got our hundreds column free here. So we could put our answer in here. Mr. Saunders over 6 weeks is able to save £528. I've just drawn my pound sign out here. Really rubbish, but there we are. That's how much money Mr. Saunders has saved. Right, now let's have a go at this next one together. It says Miss Metters walks 14 miles a month. It's lots of walking. I think I've definitely been doing that in lockdown. Now, how many miles does she walk in 12 months? Okay, so you need to picture that every month I walk 14 miles. Now, I want to know, or somebody wants to know, how many miles I walk in 12 months. So I got my key information here. I'm going to circle that 14 because that looks really important. We can also circle the month if you want to, but that's not actually completely key because we want to know how many miles I walk in 12 months. So here's 2 key bits of information here. We've got 14 miles in 1 month. We want to know how many miles I walk in 12 months. So that can look a little bit like this. We've got the 1 month 14 miles and we want to know what that is in how many miles I walk in 12 months. So we're doing 14 times 12. So you want to do 12 lots of 14. Okay, so I've got my hundreds, tens and ones column over here. And then I'm going to use column method to break this one down. Now this question is obviously aimed more for year 5 because you're going to be doing 2 digit by 2 digit. Year 4, there's no reason as to why you can't listen and watch us go through this anyway. So we've got 14 here and we're multiplying that by 12. I'm going to put my operation over here. Okay, and then like always, we start with our ones. So we do 2 times 4, which is 8. And then we do 2 times 10. 2 times 1 is, you could do 2 times 1, which is obviously 2, but obviously 2 times 10 is 20. We know that. So we put our 20 in here. I'm going to cross out this number because I've used him now. I don't need to worry about him anymore. I've done 14 times 2. Now I need to do 10 times 14. So I'm going to start with 10 over here. And we're going to multiply that by 4. So 10 times 4 is obviously 40. And now we need to do 10 times 10. So 1 times 1 is obviously 1. So 10 times 10 is going to be 100. So we go over to our hundreds column. We don't need to carry him because there's nothing. Oh, blimey. There's nothing in the hundreds column. And now we need to add up our answers. So we've got 8 add 0 is 8. 2 add 4 is 6. And 1 add nothing is 1. So that is how many miles I walk in 12 months. Wow, lots of miles. Now, what I would like you to do here is I want you to have a go yourself. So you need to pick between A or B. Year 5, you could challenge yourself and do both. One question is aimed at year, so A is aimed at year 4, B is aimed more at year 5. So pause me here, have a go, draw out your column method chart here, making sure you do your thousands, hundreds, your tens, and your ones. Question A says there are 24 biscuits in a pack. That's key here. A shop orders 8 packets. Okay, so it's 24 biscuits in 1 pack. A shop orders 8 packets. How many biscuits will there be altogether in those 8 packets? So you're going to need to work out how many biscuits there are altogether. Then, so year 4s, you can pause me here and have a go. Now year 5s, I'll read your question to you. It says a school buys 37 boxes of pencils. That sounds key to me. It says each box has 12 pencils. So each of those individual boxes has 12 pencils in them. So how many pencils has the school bought altogether? So I'm going to circle this here because this is important. We know that in 1 box there is 12. However, there's 36 boxes. for you to know what 36 lots of 12 is, okay? So pause me here, year 5, and you can have a go as well. Right, if you unpause me, let's go through the answers now. So let's start with A. We've got 24 times by 8. If you found this tricky, don't worry, do this alongside me and just see maybe where you got a little bit stuck. Now we're going to start with our ones as always. So we're going to do 8 times 4. So 8 times 4 is obviously 32. So we can put our 2 here. We can't have 32 ones, so we're going to carry over our 3 tens. Then we need to do our 8 times 20. It's a bit easier to do 8 times 2, which is 16. So 8 times 20 will be 160. Then you can add on your 30. If you find it easier, do 8 times 2, which is 16. Add on 3, which is 19. So you put your 9 here. And then you don't need to carry over your 1 or your 100 because there's nothing in the hundreds column. So you can put it straight here. So they have 192 biscuits. Yummy. Now, year 5, let's have a go at your question. I'm going to rub this one out here. So we've got 37 pencils. There we are. Sorry, make that look more like a 3. And, oh, sorry, we've not got 37 pencils. We've got 37 boxes of pencils, and there's 12 pencils per box. So we want to know how many pencils there are all together. So like always, we start with the ones. We do 2 times 7, which is 14. Can't have 14 ones. So we put our 4 here. And, oh, sorry. Rub that out. It has a mind of its own sometimes. And then we carry over our 10. Oh, actually, I'm going to carry it small over here because we don't want to put it too big in the box because we still need to do 2 times 30. So now we're going to do 2 times 30. So 2 times 3 is 6. So 2 times 30 will be 60. We've got to carry over our extra 10. So I'm going to cross him out. So that will be 70. Okay. Now I'm going to cross out this one because we've done 37 times by 2. Now we need to do 37 times by 10. We're going to do 10 times 7, which is obviously 70. Or 1 times 7 is 7, so 10 times 7 would be 70. And then we need to do 10 times 30, so 1 times 3 is 3. So 10 times 30 will be 300. So I put that straight into my hundreds column because I've got nothing in there, so I don't need to carry. Oh, keep zooming in, I'm sorry. Oh, blimey, I'm not getting it. There we are. Now let's add up our answers. So we've got 4 add 0 is 4. 70 add 70 is 140 because 7 add 7 is 14. Obviously we can't have that many tens, so we put our 4 tens in here and we carry over 100. Now we need to do 3 add, well, nothing add 3 is obviously 3, but we need to add this extra 1 or 100 actually. So 300 add 100 or 3 add 1 is obviously 400. So that's how many pencils we have all together. So hopefully you got those right. If you didn't get those right, like I say, just pause me and maybe see where you went a little bit wrong. Now, what I would like you to do is you've got choice, well, you haven't got choice, sorry. You've got 2 worksheets. There's a year 4 worksheet and a year 5 worksheet, okay? So have a go at either the year 4 or the year 5 worksheet. Year 4's, is both word problems, however yours will be multiplying by just 1 digit. Year 5's obviously it'll be multiplying by 2 digits, okay? So choose year 4 or year 5, have a go. Obviously it depends on what you did yesterday. So year 4's it'll be really tricky if you have a go at the year 5 sheet and you didn't do that work yesterday. But try your best. Remember to use all those skills, circling the key information and things like that, maybe trying to break the question down. Make sure you send a picture of your work in to me. So I can mark it and I'll give you some feedback. Well done for all your hard work and keep it up, and I'll see you soon.